delay of flight would cause him to be much more tired. Not that that still wouldn't have happened, but I believe that there was less chance of that happening, like having that little accident or in the bed. But I think it has a lot to do with it. In fact, let's see, 2 years ago when we brought my mom and she had dementia, that flight was delayed, I think 5 or 6 hours. And by the time we got on the plane, and my mom had dementia, she started to hallucinate in the last maybe hour or so of the flight. Then we got her here, she was really tired, we fed them, put her to bed, and just probably because of the overexhaustion, she kind of rolled off the bed, broke her collarbone, and then I had to basically watch her most of the time, but she started to hallucinate, And then when we got her home, I had to fly up to Alaska, so we put her in the care home with my dad just temporarily because they had a spot open. But then she wanted to keep going home, so she kept trying to run away or run home. So that was a lot going on there, and I would say a lot of it was caused by the delay of the flight. And now you cannot blame the airlines or you cannot control that. In fact, on that same flight, there was a lady sitting in front in the front row in front of my sister and her husband, and she actually died. She passed away on the flight, and it was really, really sad. They were calling for people who had nursing or doctor experience, and they tried to give her CPR and things, but she actually died. And when you die on the flight, they can't do anything. The flight still goes, so they just kind of covered her with blankets, and it was really sad. And her friend was sitting next to her, was just crying and bawling, and yeah, it was really sad. But so there was always that risk too, that something can happen on the plane, or even here, like with my mom. And it goes back to, if the plane wasn't delayed, perhaps that lady may have not died because she had come from the outer island early and they got on the plane, or we don't know. Or my mom maybe wouldn't have fallen and broke her collarbone and started to hallucinate. So you can play a lot of what ifs, but you can't do that, right? So you just have to be ready to expect the unexpected if you do decide to take them on a trip. So the reverse is, just don't take them. Why? Mendoksai, too much trouble. But so many for the seniors, like my dad, that's their big hope, especially when they get old. There's not much they can do. That's their one motivating factor to keep them living, to look forward to give them something to live for. So it's kind of a hard thing to balance. I know that this will be my dad's last trip to Las Vegas, and I say that with all honesty and sincerity, that I know this is the last time. Just because of what happened on the plane, there was a couple of accidents there, and it's very, very stressful, and it's just really hard, as well as last night. And I can see how weak he has become. And that, my dad is not like, normally he would be getting up around 9 and saying, okay, let's go eat, or let's, well, one, two, he cannot eat he can eat with us, but we have to puree all his food. So we carry this little, like puree small machine, battery operated, or it's recharged, and we can puree his hamburger or eggs or whatever he wants to eat. We haven't done it yet, so I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I've seen his parade food. So maybe that's not so exciting, eating parade food. But I think it's more that he's weak, and that he's, his body is slowly, of course, breaking down. He has Parkinson's, he has a hard time talking, he has a hard time walking, he has to eat parade food, so, and he needs a lot of rest. And so that's why he's still sleeping. It's 10 a.m. We put him down at 12 last night, Las Vegas time. So it's probably about 10 hours. We hope to let him sleep to 11 or maybe 12, and then get him up, get him a shower, get him something to eat. And then maybe if his cousin Alvin has time, maybe they can play a little craps, And so that's all we can do. That's we can do our best. And so we hope that this trip goes well, and that there's no incident, and that I can get him back home safely to the care home, where I look forward to that day when I release him back to the care home. Just because you're always on, watching, whether it's the baby monitor or it's sleeping in the bed next to him, and just being on the radar is up, the antennas are up. You hear any sound because he's so quiet that sometimes like last year he used to like go on his own, and I was so tired I wouldn't wake up. And by the time and then I hear the toilet flush, and then I would jump and I would suddenly wake up going what, and then I run to the toilet, and of course I say, Dad, you gotta call me. We have bells by the side of his on the bedstand. I used to tie bells to his walker so he couldn't go without making a sound. But sometimes the bells don't ring, and he's very good, kind of stealth walker. He just goes to the toilet. So anyway, that's the first night, and that's my overall opinion of what I went through, and what some of you who are maybe thinking of taking your parents or relatives or friends who are seniors. It all depends on their health issues and what they can and cannot do. Whether they can bathe themselves or go to the toilet themselves, or they need somebody there. Whether they can walk, and each person, each case is different. I'm not a doctor, so don't take this as advice, but just as possible ideas for some of you who may be interested in taking your parents. I just thought that maybe there's other people in Hawaii or in anywhere who wants maybe thinking of taking their parents maybe to Las Vegas or somewhere else, but some of the things that go on, and we use Vacations Hawaii, and I was very happy with them, and once we got on the plane and everything, and got to Las Vegas, it was no problem. I spoke very highly of them in I think I made 2 or 3 videos about taking your parents to Las Vegas. But yesterday what really bothered us was their poor decision making and their poor critical thinking of contacting the people on the plane and having everyone come in at 2 a.m. when they didn't have to. If we had known, we could have slept maybe through the night, or at least they told us late, we would have known. And we could have slept without getting up, getting ready, driving down, anticipating, So all the there's a few small children as well as the older seniors. It's really hard on them. And I think that was Vacations Hawaii's big mistake. Yes, they gave us a $400 voucher for the next time we use it. But in my dad's case, he'll never use it. And they told us it's non-transferable. And so my sister was trying yesterday at the office before we went to the airport at 9 for the 3rd time. She was trying to get it on his ticket this time. And then they finally said, they cannot, and the manager wasn't in, kind of convenient, it seemed. You would think that whenever you have some kind of crisis or some kind of emergency going on, that you would have management on the front lines at the counter there or at the airport. Vacations Hawaii didn't seem to have that. It seems like the managers either were conveniently not there, or they were hiding behind their frontline staff who take the beating from people who are complaining. So that part to me was a negative on Vacations Hawaii's, their stance or their way of management and their leadership. But the actual, when things go well, they are very, very good. They are the best deal in town, whether it's cost and service and having the bags taken to your room and pulled. They did lose my bag last night, so just another thing that I had to call. We waited over 2 hours, and it was the bell desk's fault. They said our name was similar to another name, and the name tag said my sister Susan Sokin, and so they somehow took it to another room, 1312 or something, instead of our room. But they were able to track it down, so luckily. But again, when I called down to front desk, they said, just if the bag doesn't come, they're still delivering, come back and call us back in half an hour. But already they ran through these rooms, so we know that the rooms that they missed it, the bag is somewhere else. And when the bell desk finally, I kept calling. I called 3 times, and then when the bell desk finally got a hold of it, they were on it. Somebody came right away. He told me that he just had one bag, my sister's bag, that was here, and that the red bag, my suitcase, wasn't on the list. And so they did go and track it, and they came right away. So that part, they took care of it once the bell desk got it. So again, it's the leadership and the management. You got to know who to go to. They have to know who to go to really quickly. And you have to be an advocate for yourself and for your parents, because if you just called and the front desk lady said, just call us back in half an hour because they're still delivering, and that that's not correct. We did wait, I think, 20 minutes, and finally we just called them again because it didn't make sense. So that part too, it's another thing besides your parents is, okay, the suitcase, and in the suitcase was some of my dad's medication, some of his, like the little grinder, and little things, not little things, but things that you really need for them. So just another thing. So it might sound really overwhelming, and at times it can be, but on the other hand, you have to keep reminding yourself why you're doing this. It's for your parents or your senior friend or relative or whoever you are bringing, and it's their enjoyment. This is not for you. This is not for me. This is not for my sister. I take this as more, this is a job, and if you look at it that way, then and you manage your expectations, then it's not as stressful as it is if you're trying to have your own good time and play and have fun and drink and play the machines or whatever, and take care of your parent. Unless they're very low maintenance. But if they're medium or high maintenance, then I would not even think about enjoying yourself. And if you do at the end, then great. But again, the goal is to take care. I mean, not only to take care, but to have your parents have one last or many memories at their age now. And that's what we're here